So the number one reason why President Joe Biden should release Julian Assange and drop all charges is Australia. Recently, Joe Biden commented to a journalist asking questions about Julian that the United States government are considering dropping the charges. These comments were welcomed by Australian Prime Minister Albanese. And it's not only Prime Minister Albanese who wants Julian returned, it's 88% of Australian citizens. The relationship between the United States and the Australian government is a long-standing one and an important one to the American government. And for this reason alone, President Joe Biden should drop the charges. Reason number 2, for Joe to let him go: freedom of expression. Amnesty said, publishing information that is in the public interest is a cornerstone of media freedom. It is also protected under international human rights law and should not be criminalized. The US government's unrelenting pursuit of Julian Assange is nothing short of a full-scale assault on the right to freedom of expression. WikiLeaks publishes whistleblowers' disclosures which have exposed how political and corporate and media elites operate. WikiLeaks publications have shared accurate and official information about how governments, companies, banks, the United Nations, political parties, arms manufacturers, and the media operate when they think no one is looking. This information has been used in court cases for freeing prisoners, exposing scandals, torture, murder, and surveillance. Many people are signing on to Resolution 934, a resolution that states that the persecution of Julian Assange must end. It is time to drop the charges against Julian. Reason number 3, Julian's health. Julian has now been incarcerated in Belmarsh prison for 5 years. In October of 2022, he suffered a mini-stroke. Just last month, he was too sick to attend his own hearing. The UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Nils Melzer, has stated the progressively severe suffering inflicted on Mr. Assange as a result of his prolonged solitary confinement amounts not only to arbitrary detention, but also to torture and other cruel, inhumane and degrading treatment. For every day that Julian is in Belmarsh prison, his health is at risk. Reason number 4, why Joe should let him go: threats to journalism. The legitimacy of the United States as a democratic nation is eroded day by day that this case drags on. Human rights organizations, press freedom organizations, and civil liberties groups have asserted that the US's prosecution of Julian Assange undermines the country's ability to defend journalists against authoritarian regimes around the world. If President Biden sees free press as a pillar of democracy, he must drop the charges. Reason number 5, family. It is easy sometimes to forget that Julian is also a husband, a father, a brother, and a son. Julian's 2 small children have only ever known their father in the visiting room at Belmarsh prison. And prior to his incarceration at Belmarsh, he spent 7 years seeking political asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy, and a year before that was on house arrest. It has now been 13 years that Julian has been separated from his family and loved ones. And the time has come. Return Julian to his family. Free Julian Assange.